Skinner. Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Emily Dean, and I'm also with Laura Solon.
One boy, two little girls.
Yeah. How marvellous. So, so the cockerel has flown the roost today. He's on tour. I don't know where he's on. We should plug his show.
A barnyard somewhere near you.
I mean, do you have to plug show? Just look it up. So, Laura, who is very much an absolute bona fide. I'm looking for friend of the show. I can't find. Oh, there he is. Friend of the show. Yes, he's.
Thank you.
Yes, so how lovely to have you on, Laura. And I won't start with the how are you. I hate it when people say how are you on things.
In case something awful is just.
Can I just say that I like that? It demonstrates your tolerance. I hate it when people say, how are you?
With a slightly pitying voice. How are you?
You know, on phone-ins and that, and they say, all right, I got Dave on the line. All right, Dave, how are you, Steve? Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Dave. How are you? I'm good. Yeah, that's dead time to me.
You get trapped in it. I'm fine, thanks. How are you? I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, we're not doctors. We're guessing, let's face it, at best. We could be harbouring,
I've actually got a bit of a tight hamstring.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've heard that. I can hear it from here, actually, like a child learning the violin. If you want to text us about anything, you can do it on 8 12 15, like what you can every week. But that's it, 8 12 15. Love to hear from you. That's a little bit of DJ occasionally just squeaks out of me. So, yes, welcome to Laura. And are you an international star now? Last I read of you on Chortle, the comedy website.
He likes to have a little look at Chortle.
It said you were doing American things.
I have sold a script to the Americans.
All right, what was it? Was it an All Fools and Horses one that you bought on the internet?
Yeah.
They love those comedy auctions.
I just Americanised everything. I turned every other word into sidewalk and took U's out of words. No, I sold a script, so it's very exciting.
It is exciting, isn't it?
Very exciting.
A bit too exciting, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, okay, well, we
We're
aren't
stuck
mentioning
here
it.
at Absolute Radio.
Oh, how dare you say that? I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, and I mean that from my heart. Both my left and right ventricles.
Don't mention heart.
Oh, I can kiss this job goodbye. Oh, no. Oh, no. Now, so, yes, so me and Em, just to make you feel, remind you of the outsider.
Yeah.
We went to a fabulous showbiz Halloween party.
Oh, whose fabulous showbiz Halloween party was it?
It was Ken Holmes, the Chinese chef.
Was it?
No, it wasn't, actually. I would have gone if he'd have invited me.
Oh, I would have gone to that.
But I'm hoping there'll be a New Year one soon. I don't know. I think the Chinese have a New Year, what is it, every 6 weeks? There's always a lantern up in Chinatown.
It's a New Year of an animal all the time.
Do they have England Town in China?
You're looking at me as if I'm...
Well, I'm thinking of you now as our international correspondent. You've been to America. What's China
That's a bit like China.
I like England Town. People getting drunk, presumably, and throwing chairs.
At 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
I think that would be all right. So it was, I went as...
Laura asked which celebrity I'll answer. Frank's being a bit coy. I won't be.
Okay.
No. It was
Sylvester McCoy? Yeah, it was him.
It wasn't. It was Jonathan Ross's Halloween party.
It was.
Which is quite the calendar date.
As a member of the 99% who weren't at Jonathan Ross's Halloween party, what were the amazing stories?
Well, I went as a priest.
Which one?
Judas. All of them. Okay, I was a bit loud, but... No, I went as just... Well, I had a priest thing. I'll tell you something, I let myself down in a way, because ideally, any costume you wear at a fancy dress party shouldn't need a footnote.
No.
You know, when you have to explain. So when I arrived, the press said... well, one of them shouted, where's your tart, Frank? Because you know Vickers and Tarts.
Oh, I'm so glad I wasn't with you.
Well, they wouldn't have shouted it then, so it would have been all right. Yeah, so I did one of these, one of my, you have to do a hit and run joke. So I said, well, don't worry, there'll be plenty inside. I'd gone. It's a thing. It's a technique that I've developed. That hit and run. It's because I've got a 24-hour receptionist at my flat, so I have to say something on my way to the lift, and I like to leave them on a laugh. So I walked in the other day with a ukulele, and he said, "Oh, you been busking, Frank?" I said, "Well, I've got to pay for these service charges. Somehow the lift doors, I was gone."
What if the lift is out of order? And
No,
you've
listen,
got to
then I have to do a whole routine. I did an hour and a quarter.
DVD.
Hour and a quarter with an engineer behind me on his knees doing the cable. It was tough up there, I tell you. I got through 3 receptionists. So I went as, as sort of the exorcist, but basically a priest.
I thought it was the costume of the night. I did. I loved it.
I've never felt more at home in a fancy
Was there
dress
an
costume.
award for the costume of the night? Or is there a consensus?
No, Jimmy Carr's was pretty good, wasn't it? He came as a he came as a gorilla holding Jimmy Carr in a cage. It's hard to describe.
So he was the legs of the gorilla, but he was also the top
and then
of
he had
Jimmy
it
Carr.
around him.
Yeah, it was a clever. It was along the lines of the ostrich thing. That,
Oh yeah.
oh, come on, help me out. Bernie Clifton. Yeah. I should know that. He phoned the show once. How could
did.
I?
He's a
oh
friend
God,
of the
if he's
show.
listening, I can only apologise, Bernie. It was a bit like that. So you didn't know where the costume stopped and Jimmy Carr started. But I've always thought that. He probably. But I have to say, Emily, and it pains me to say this, looked absolutely amazing. Even though she represented the worst film ever made. And maybe we'll come back to that in a second.
Absolute Radio. Frank Skinner.
We were talking about our various Halloween parties. You went to a Halloween party, Laura, didn't you?
Yes, I went to a Halloween party. It was a work Halloween party. It was a work event, sort of. An agency
Does that
party.
mean you got off with someone?
Yeah.
Okay. Come back to that. No, I should say that Emily, I left on a slight teaser, I think, before the music. Emily was, who were you, Emily?
Well, I was stiff with stress, Laura, for the big reveal for Frank to see my costume, and you were talking to Michael McIntyre, and I crept up behind you, and I tapped you on the shoulder in a slightly 70s fashion, in a Guess Who form, and then you spun round with that dog collar, and but actually, I was Black Swan, and it's Frank's worst film.
Oh, you were Black Swan? I thought you were Claudia Winkleman. I saw the eyeliner and I put 2 and 2 together and got 5.
You went as Claudia Winkleman as Black Swan.
That would have been difficult because Claudia Winkleman was there as well.
Claudia was there.
What did she go as?
I don't know.
See, I said to Michael McIntyre, so I always call him Mick Mac, I lapsed into him there.
I was so showbiz.
He had an elaborate outfit of hats and blood and scarves, and I said, what have you come as? He said, I don't actually know what the costume is. I thought, that's
He came up to me at one point, Frank, and went, "Can you tell me what I've come as?" He said, "I saw it in a packet, I put it on, I don't know what it is."
Pete Doherty did that to me at a party once. It wasn't even a fancy dress.
I'm not a fancy dress aficionado.
No?
I'm not a fan.
Sorry.
I'm not a fan.
I told you, that's why you've been booked?
Yeah.
This is a bit embarrassing.
If you've ever had to hire one and you have to go there and they have this sort of what's like a leather bound, like a pub menu, a big book.
Like the karaoke book.
And you go through
the karaoke book that you get given. That's always exciting.
And it's full of pictures of their unwilling spouses or employees dressed up and the whole thing just makes me feel a bit depressed. I'm obviously going to the wrong kind of fancy dress shop, but
I like the sound of the one. You've got elements of Reader's Wives about it.
It is. And you leaf through and then you've got to pick one out. And I think with fancy dress you either have to have the most amazing costume or you just wear normal clothes. Because you can't, as you say, you can't be half there.
Well, I thought my vicar one was the Daily Mail said Frank Skinner didn't make much of an effort.
Yes, I saw that. I didn't want to talk about it.
No, well, yes.
There were a few same dress nightmares, though.
Oh, really? Same costume
There were
nightmares.
2 orange boiler suits, I noticed, Louis Theroux and Danny Baker.
Well, there were 2 Black Swans, let's face it.
Well,
yes. There were.
There was a point they were chatting.
Can you name some other celebrities?
Birds of a feather. Some of the celebrities?
Yeah,
I can't name many of them because I didn't really know until the next day because they all had costumes on and I couldn't tell you that. What's the point of being a celebrity if you're going to cover your face?
I didn't know John Bishop was there until I read it in the paper.
No. I didn't know that. And the man, Sherlock Holmes, was there.
Oh, Benedict Cucumber.
Yeah. And he had,
Lovely.
like, bandages all over his face. And what's the point of being a big star like
being
him?
a beautifully talented actor if you're just going to...
David Williams
Well,
was
I've
a
often thought that.
sort of creepy medieval executioner.
Yeah, he was. It's funny, he was medieval executioner, so less creepy. I've never met him when he's been less creepy. No, he looked good. He had a teeth thing on.
Yeah.
As well. I'm afraid that David Baddiel fell into the same trap as me. He had to explain who he was. I won't say who he was because
No.
it's slightly bad taste. But he was a very he was a British serial killer,
A very mean man.
and he had a laminate with a picture of the real man on it. So he was the same as me. He had to explain. It's a bit like, you know, when impressionists used to say things like, I wonder what Tommy Cooper would make of this before they become Tommy Cooper. That'd be terrible, actually. A woman came up to me who I think was drunk and said,
Oh, God.
my ex-boyfriend was a big fan of yours. Oh. And it was like I needed maybe 10 minutes on my own to pass that sentence.
Yeah.
P-A-R-S-E.
There's a lot of agendas in
Yeah,
that
because
sentence.
there was first of all, a suggestion, well, I'm not, because if she's a big fan, why even bring up another one? Ex-boyfriend, there was the past tense.
That's why they fell out.
Yeah, he doesn't like you anymore. Or I killed him. Was the whole... That, to me, it set the whole evening on edge.
Yeah.
My ex-boyfriend. Who wants to talk about your ex-boyfriend? Get off me. That was how it went. That was how the conversation went.
I thought a zombie's costume was great, so I touched his belly, because I thought that was the best part of the costume. And it was his real stomach.
Oh, no.
That's somber.
Enough Halloween.
Absolute Radio with Frank Skinner.
Frank, you were talking earlier about how you loathed it when people said, how are you?
It's just a waste of time.
We've had a text in response to that. This is from Andrea.
Was it on 8/12/15?
It was.
Good.
This is from Andrea. I hate being greeted with how are you also. I take a lot of calls from the police. They are the worst offenders. Bring on the fall.
Are they the worst offenders?
They are the worst offenders. They always want to know how you
general?
are. I mean, when they ask how you are, though, they generally delve.
Well, they delve all
I
right.
don't like delving. I mean, generally speaking. So, well, that's good. She sounds like my kind of girl. Is it Andrea?
Andrea, yes.
Fab.
Now, Frank, I'd like to talk to you and Laura about something new in my life.
Is it the moment?
Well, I've developed a rather unlikely crush. Now, it's a recent addition to my crush list. But
Which includes Vince Cable, I should tell Laura.
and Henry VIII.
Just to give you a taster.
Curious selection there. But it's not... I don't like your Brad Pitts or your Johnny Depps, to be honest.
Too obvious.
No, that's what I think. I don't like your usual crush fodder. What I like is... My most recent addition is son of disgraced canoe man who faked his own death, John Darwin.
Oh, the son. There's two sons, aren't there?
Yeah, there's two, but I like Anthony Darwin.
Is he spectacles or...
No, well, a picture of him popped up. I was reading an article, I was reading an interview with John Darwin, and his son, this is the trouble, you see, the only material I have, it's all courtroom exterior.
Yes.
He doesn't have a calendar or a DVD.
Does he appear on any of those court artists? You know, the court artists, the pastel drawings.
Wouldn't you like a court caricaturist, though? Wouldn't that be better?
Oh, you could give that to me for a Christmas present, a framed photo.
Yeah.
I find they're very flattering, the court artists, generally.
Was it you who said you'd met one?
Yeah, I met one. Yeah, it was doing a court painting outside the Westminster thingy courts. She was just doing it on the street. Yeah, I asked her if she sold them, but apparently they don't. I'd love a gallery of, the great crimes and some minor crimes. I don't think they bring them in for the minor crimes.
Speeding crimes. Yeah.
Yeah, they get in for that. So you fancy one of the canoe man's sons,
which is quite obscure.
You do like them gullible.
Well, I do.
Yeah, I can imagine you and him saying, "How come you was out all night?" And you say, "I drowned." Right. Leave it at that.
But I've decided,
okay.
Frank, it's so obscure, my crush. I've got a name for it, the OC.
The OC.
The obscure crush.
Oh, okay.
That's not my...
I don't know if you can use the OC on Absolute Radio. I think it's already been taken.
It's not my only OC either.
No.
I have another one. Mohammed Al-Fayed's ex-spokesman, Michael Cole.
Oh, yeah, he was a babe.
Silver Fox.
I don't remember him.
I don't...
That's the point of an OC.
I'm just so relieved that you carried on talking after you'd said Mohammed Al-Fayed.
That would
if
be
that had been the obscure crush, that would have been really terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I would have thought you'd had a chance with the Canoe
With
Man
Anthony
song.
Darwin.
So that's it, because when people have crushes on Brad Pitt, they got no hope. But the Canoe Man song,
That's what I like about an OC. It's achievable. you see.
Achievable
Yeah.
crush.
Well, I've had a few strange
who are
ones.
your
Well, I've
ones?
mentioned a lot on the show. Zola Bod was one of mine. Judith Kepler from Eggheads. Jesse Eisenberg, which was a strange one.
That's very...
Yeah. I don't know about crush. I tell you who I think is strangely alluring. Rachel Amat.
Who's that?
She's a news reporter. She's a blonde-haired, and she has a very... how can I put this? She's attractive, but she has a very flat face. Very flat-nosed, flat. And this is what I find alluring. It looks like her face is pressed up against my TV screen, trying to get at me in some way. And do you know her? Rachel Amat. Very intelligent, but I think back off a bit, Rachel. Let's see. Yeah, and she's like a child looking into a sweet shop. I imagine at me. I could be wrong. I'm sure there's more to this, but I'd like to know, in the meantime, before we get any deeper, I'd like to know what obscure crushes our listeners have. And I'm excluding myself from this, just on the off chance.
Absolute Radio with Frank Skinner.
Frank, we've had some texts in on 81215. We've had...
Und, as they say on German radio. Und.
Does Emily want to canoodle with the sun? That's
Canoodle with the son of the Canoe Man. I love it. If she does, she'll be up creek with... Anyway.
Been up there already. My crush has lasted 35 years. It's Mr. Dave Bartram of Shawaddy. I've met him a few times and he's lovely. That's
Yeah, he's the
047.
I know which one he is. He's, sorry, what? Who was that from?
047.
Oh yes, I know.
5 years.
I know
is a
him
long,
well.
Long time for a crush.
Yeah, and Dave
I
Bartram.
see crushes as these temporary things that come and go.
Yeah, I like the sound of this though, because Dave Bartram, he must have changed a lot in 35 years. He's the one. He's a sort of. I mean this in the nicest kind of way. He's a sort of chipmunk look of a character to him. Very straight, dark hair. I believe that's the Dave Bartram.
Yes.
You know, even at the mention of Shawaddy Waddy, I find myself desperate to clap like this. That's 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Left, right, left, right. There you go. Right, that's a good crush.
Yes. We've had another text in. This is from Baz with the 3 Rotties.
Oh, I remember him, yeah. He's got 3 Rottweilers who've got their own bed. I think it used to be his bed, but he was terrorised out of it.
Baz says, Frank, you should have texted me you were going as a vicar. You could have taken my Rotties and been the vicar from The Omen.
I like it.
Yeah.
Would have had a bit more
Is it a vicar or a priest in The Omen? Discuss.
Oh, that's... Yes, because I thought I'd gone as a priest, but
Yeah.
all our Protestant listeners are determined
No,
that
but
I've
as
definitely gone as a vicar.
A vicar's like a cuddly, fatey, flapjacky, non-horror movie.
Yes.
Job, whereas a priest,
You're right.
sinister, exorcism.
Yeah, you're quite
Yeah.
right. I agree with that. I did drink tea at one point at about midnight, so that
Yes,
that
I
was
know, I
fairly,
made it for you.
That was fairly vicaresque. Well, you did make it for me, yes. Thank you so much.
Frank, my obscure crush is you. Sorry, not my words, but the words of 564.
Thank God for that.
I get the feeling you're a control freak, coasters and deleting accounts. You are a challenge.
You are a challenge. What a great chat up line.
You are a challenge.
You're
That's
a puzzle.
from Kathy.
That's from Catherine.
No, it's not.
No. Who is it from?
There's only a number.
That's all right.
It's from 564.
564. I think I like the idea of going out with someone who I just know as 564 as well. That appeals to me. I'll tell you who I had a big crush on. Do you remember there was an American sitcom called Rhoda?
Oh, yes.
No.
Valerie
Harper played Rhoda, but
Yeah.
she had a sort of supposedly frumpy sister called Brenda.
What, a Hollywood TV frumpy?
Hollywood TV
Yeah.
frumpy,
Yeah.
which means beautiful when she takes her glasses off.
Yeah.
Oh, I know her. Very deep voice. I like her. Yeah.
And I was mad about the sister. And at school, they'd say, the sister! And then she's now the voice of Marge Simpson, that actress. And apparently lives a very away from it all kind of life and shuns all publicity. Oh. And that's what I think a recluse who does funny voices has always been my sort of dream, my dream woman.
I've developed rather a crush on Vladimir Putin lately.
That's good.
And I think that he's the short-sighted woman's Daniel Craig.
I think that you might have something there.
I've actually got quite a crush on him.
Oh,
as a
that's
result.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
The concussed woman's Daniel Craig.
I think he'd be a challenge as
I
well.
think he'd be a challenge.
Yeah, he's a man who'll get his shirt off at the drop of a
Yeah, on
hat.
a horse.
Well, that's good to know. Oh, Frank, I've got one as well. I've forgotten. Michael Faraday. But only...
What, the man who invented
Yes.
electricity or something?
I've only
What did he
seen
do?
him on £20 notes. But, oh, my goodness, he was hot.
Yeah, well, you would go for someone who's on the currency. How typical of you. And yeah, well, is he? I can't picture him.
He's a
what did he
physicist.
do? He didn't invent
He was a
electricity.
physicist, yeah.
But he's associated with a major
Well, I know
discovery.
Einstein was a big fan of his.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that Einstein had an obscure
Yeah.
crush on him as well.
Einstein.
He was that's what made his tongue hang out.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
Frank, I'd like to discuss Kim Kardashian.
Now, Kim Kardashian, that's an interesting person. I wouldn't know Kim Kardashian if she came into this room now.
Really?
But there's about 9 stories about her in the paper every day. I think she might be a computer-generated construct that's been developed in order to feed the tabloids. I'm not sure that she's a real person. I think there's probably a computer called something like the KK11 that produced her, and probably produced Kerry Katona, especially for us. Watch out for the KKK thing. Don't watch out for the KKK. Watch out for the KKK, something
think
I'd happily have as a trailer.
The computer might be responsible for Kenneth Kendall.
That's
Ken Clark.
fabulous
Well, that's more
reference.
Casey.
Yeah, that's Casey we're all right with.
yeah.
But no, what is Kim Kardashian?
Oh, with a Kim Kardashian.
It's a big question.
She's got herself into a bit of a judge.
But what is
pickles.
she? Does she have music?
She's a reality star.
And that's it?
Yeah, that's her
Okay.
job. All the
Oh, that's
KKs
fair
are reality
enough.
stars. But no, she's got married, Frank. This may have escaped your notice, but she got married. It was a $10 million wedding or something, I think they spent on it, and it only lasted for 72 days. She's had enough already.
Do you know that 72 days is around about the gestation period of a guinea pig?
Oh, yes. So, I think we see now.
That's how you measure. Because someone,
Laura, that's so brilliant. It's like the child in Jerry Maguire.
because you know when you measure things in terms of blue whales, football pitches, or stadiums, there are all those measurements of distance. I was just wondering if measurements of time should be in terms of
Gestation period.
periods of guinea pigs. So that's
Yes.
one.
So, so it was one gestation.
A Kardashian is now a unit of time, maybe 72
good.
days.
That'd be good, yeah.
But do you think she should give the ring back?
Well, the mother doesn't think she should. She's quite formidable, that mother. She's a bit of an Andy Murray mother.
Yes, she is.
Isn't she?
You wouldn't want to date.
No.
She's a bit, except she doesn't go, come on! Every
She's
2
steely.
minutes.
She's
No,
steely.
she says
It was, how much was the ring?
$2 million.
$2 million.
Anyone who buys a £2 million
Yeah.
engagement
Yeah.
ring
How do you lift your
deserves
hand?
to be heavily deceived.
Yeah.
That's the way I see
Is it a wedding ring or the engagement ring?
No, I think it's the big diamond.
Yeah,
isn't it?
she says it's a ring. She said it's a gift. You don't return a gift. And then she said
But
she
it's
got
a gift that came with conditions, as in forever.
I don't think that applies. So there was a time when people could be sued for things like breach of promise and stuff. All that's gone now. It's all gone a bit vague.
Oh, that's good to know.
Will she still be... She won't still wear it. She's not going to wear a second.
It?
It's going to end up in... You know those little pots you get by the telly with like, a gift from Great Yarmouth?
With a 5-cent piece.
Yeah, with a used stamp.
Yeah, one of those things used to thread needles. That's
those things. With like a Roman coin on one end. Well, what happened to those needle threaders?
They never really worked.
No, I could do with one of them.
But the mother also got in trouble.
They're very handy for ingrowing hairs.
Oh, Frank. The mother got in trouble because she said, I hate Indian givers.
See, I'd never heard that phrase before.
Have you not?
No.
Well, I know it, Frank.
Yeah,
We show our age here.
Someone who gives something and then wants it back, doesn't
As in a Native American Indian.
Yeah, you know, one of those. Well, just of a Native American, I think they're called now. The one for the feathers. I mean, I don't know what you know the ones I mean. The ones that go, oh, that, right? Whatever they're currently called, those. But I always thought that it wasn't an anti-Native American. I always assumed it meant that they were given land by the let's call them the whiteys, by the whiteys, and then they took it back off the what were then known as the Red Indians and now known as the Native Americans. So I thought it was a kind of a. I didn't think it was they did it. What do they give and then take back? The Native Americans.
Oh, just gifts. Exchange.
Do they?
Yes.
Is that
they
the
give
norm?
Gifts. Yes.
Oh, they do gifts. Yeah, there was a little Native American gift shop just by us. Fabulous.
Snow globes.
Yeah. All the dream catchers, of course.
Yeah.
They're big fans of the dream catchers.
Frank 610 Kevin Keegan, just another addition to your computer generated.
Kevin Keegan, I think.
Yeah.
I think the original Kevin Keegan was real. The footballer. And the night he was hit over the head with a baseball hat on a... remember he stopped at a motorway lay-by. The night he was hit with a baseball bat and replaced by the computer-generated Kevin Keegan, who someone said to me recently is the Hawley's Comet of football. Every now and again he re-emerges and goes into a management job. I can't remember who said it. I would credit you if I could remember, but it was a beautiful image.
Absolute Radio, Frank Skinner.
Mr. Rock and Roll, Amy MacDonald. Coincidentally, I used to have a massive crush on a sort of a comedy-type, dancer-type woman called Amy MacDonald. Used to be on British satire shows. Funny old world. Next.
Julie from Liverpool says, my OC is James Warren, small, earnest, bespectacled singer from Stackridge and spin-off the Corgis.
Stackridge, was that Everybody Stanley?
Oh.
Come and do the Stanley, everybody Stanley. You can do the Stanley too. We like it. Do you remember it?
No, I don't
sense
like the
from
sound.
your expression that you don't. Not only do you not remember it, but you already hold it in contempt.
I was just thinking of Stanley Knives. I didn't like it.
Oh no! See, Liverpool, you've gone straight to. Actually, there is a Stanley. There's a Stanley in Liverpool, isn't there?
Oh, well,
Maybe that's the link.
Julie says, I've been sweet on him since the mid-70s. I like the fact that she's using the old 70s vernacular there.
Yeah, she started out sweet on him and she stopped with the phrase.
Yeah.
Good old Julie.
Yeah. We had another text in. This one is from Rebecca in Bradford. Frank, my OC is David Baddiel. It's an interesting choice, I find.
Well, I don't know. He used to, of course, when he was a young man, he used to get screaming girls
he's
at
still
his
got
gigs.
it going on, Uncle David.
Yeah, but no one's ever... If anyone screams at my gig, I assume there's a mouse in the auditorium. What about Krispy Kreme? They couldn't be a computer construct, could they?
The donuts.
Yeah. I've realised I had one of those.
I've never had one.
Well, I used to love them. And I was at Jonathan Ross. Can I say I'm on not sort of any sort of sponsorship deals? And if there's anyone listening, I don't want any. Because I found out I can't get through a whole one.
Really?
And the incomplete circle left me in a sort of an emotional limbo.
A mathematical.
Yeah, so I'm not even going to try that again.
Frank, we've had an email in as well. Is there time to read it? The producer just shook her head and gave me quite a dirty look.
Yes, I was reaching for the adverts button when you...
It's okay, fine, leave it.
Leave it, there'll be plenty of time.
No biggie.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine.
Sometimes
Yeah, fine. Thank you,
between
fine.
10 and 15% of the audience come back after the news.
Absolute Radio with Frank Skinner.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio, and I'm with Emily Dean, and I'm also with Laura Solon today. As I said earlier.
One boy,
Everybody.
two little girls.
Love being a little girl.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think Elvis goes on to say 3 hearts yearning for love, if I remember rightly.
That's getting a bit sleazy.
That's what I thought. That's why I didn't do that bit.
Frank and Laura, did either of you manage to catch the Wayne Rooney advert this week?
You betcha.
Presented by Matthew Kelly.
In case you haven't seen it, this is a wine advert. And if you're a wine company and you want some sort of connoisseur to push your brand...
Who's your go-to, man?
Who are you going to call? Wayne Rooney. Yes, it's Wayne Rooney, Patrice Evra, I believe, and Ryan Giggs.
He's pretty good in it, Patrice Evra.
He's all right. I think Ryan Giggs is all right. It's the 3 of them discussing the arrival of this new Spanish wine. Is it Spanish or is it...
It's Chilean.
Chilean, yeah. And so they say there's a new devil arriving. I know. I don't know if you're aware of this. I don't want to patronise you because I know females love football. But Man United are known as the Red Devil, so it's a kind of an elaborate pun.
Yeah.
Can I just say that no footballer at Man United would ever say there's a new devil arriving, ever. Might say there's a new Neville arriving, a younger one coming through, but no. So it begins, the 3 of them are in sombre mood in what looks like a sort of executive bar.
Yeah, corporate box, airport lounge.
Yes. And Rooney has sort of got his head bowed, he's near to the window.
He's doing very good work.
Yeah, he's near to the window looking pensive. Not too near to the window, we don't want to come back and his fringe is still attached to the glass. But he turns to them in a remarkable moment that I'm putting up there with Orson Welles' speech on top of the Ferris wheel from The Third Man. And he says, the boss said that a new devil... And he goes... He sort of starts off scout. The boss said that a new devil is arriving. And he's obviously been told.
Told it's going to be in Europe.
When he first did it, he obviously went, the boss said a new devil's arriving. And they said, arriving? What's that? What's arriving? You're going to have to enunciate arriving.
He does sound a bit like the Count from Sesame Street. Yeah. That's his accent.
So he starts out as John Bishop. He goes from John Bishop to Ralph Fiennes in the space of a sentence.
I like the opener as well. He goes, guys, we have a problem.
Yes, a new devil is arriving. Oh, fancy. Oh,
and then it's like the X Factor, because the devil is a ball of fire. The wine is a ball of fire.
Heading to Manchester.
Heading through London landmarks, actually.
Well, I think...
The wheel.
If it's coming from Chile, I suppose it's gone via the South Pole.
It ends up in London, I think. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But he's not amazing in it.
No, but God bless...
But why should he be?
He reminded me a bit... Have you ever seen the Underdog Insurance adverts with Joe Pasquale? Have you ever seen that?
Some of his finest work.
He's a sort of... I don't know what kind of an animal he is. He looks like a sort of post-nuclear chalk ice.
Text in, what kind of animal is Joe Pasquale?
I suppose if it's called Underdog Insurance, one imagines he's a dog, but he's a sort of very rectangular animal. And he goes up to this creature and says, I've got an injury and I want compensation. At the end, he says... not so big now, are you? In a very... And he's had the same...
He's overthought it.
He's had the same problem.
Because they've had to say that line 100 times.
Yeah.
They're going, just do it a bit differently, mix it up a bit. He's thinking, what's my voice?
Yeah, but he's got... Now, when he does the second one, he says, you're not laughing now, are ya? And he's gone back to yeah there. He's obviously sat at home, heard that you, and thought, it's not really me, is it? And so he's obviously nicked that you from some other actor. The way he nicks so much. Yeah, Ralph Fiennes again.
Can I also say, guys...
He's regularly pilfered Ralph Fiennes.
I was very concerned about Ryan Giggs' appearance. I mean, I think his performance is the best. But
he's good.
He's had a severe cold, maybe flu.
I think he's been under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
I'd loved it if he'd have said, a new devil is arriving. And he'd have said, what? Worse than Twitter? That was the moment we were after. What it does, can I just say from a football point of view, none of these 3 players, when he says a new devil is arriving, none of them says, but, we can't sign anyone until the January window. Are you suggesting there's been some sort of illegal approach? I really haven't thought this. That's what happens when wine people make football adverts.
Absolute Radio with Frank Skinner.
Frank, I saw a story this week in the Daily Mail, so it must be true, about how a husband secretly fed his wife steroids so she would pile on weight and stay at home to look after the children.
I saw that. That was a great story.
Yeah. Now, I have a feeling that my husband is doing this to me.
Well, he's
just
making
in a
lousy job of it.
slower and more subtle way.
Okay.
By cooking me a lot of really nice food.
Okay.
All of the time.
Isn't that typical of relationships?
Yeah.
You try and cook some nice meals, and the wife's thinking,
Feeder.
You're trying to fatten
it's all
me
this.
up.
It's all this American interest. He's
Yeah.
panicking. It's like educating Rita. Remember the husband in that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're getting out of.
I'll be growing a beard, getting out the whiskey bottle soon.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, but this is an interesting concept, though, of whether or not you get jealous of your partner if they suddenly either self-improve or just say the same, and you let yourself go a bit, and you think, I can't. There must be a sort of mental equilibrium you have where you think, right, that's an acceptable level, and if you go up or down, you've got to correct that.
It's A Star Is Born, isn't it?
Yes.
It's the bit where James Mason starts out as the big star, or Chris Christopherson, depends on which version, and then his wife gets more popular and he can't cope. Walks into the sea at the end. I remember watching that with my dad, and my dad said they should have ended with my Bonnie lies over the ocean. I said, no, I think that would have killed it, Dad, actually. But the great thing about this story is that his daughter said that she heard him in the night grinding with his pestle and mortar in the bedroom. And I so respect this man, even though he's trying to force drugs onto his wife, which is not a good thing.
It's very,
But let's face it, there but for the grace of God. But no, he's tried to force steroids onto his wife. But he's the only person I've ever known who actually uses their pestle and mortar. I've had one for years. Right, in case you don't know what it is.
I like the way round you say it. I say mortar and pestle.
Oh, do you?
Do you say
Wow.
pestle and mortar?
I say pestle and mortar,
okay.
not I don't know. You see, that's because no one uses it.
No one uses it. I use mine for receipts. I do. I put my receipts in there. It's the pestle that's the thing
heavy,
that you're.
Beautiful looking things.
The pestle sticks up in the middle, and the receipts sort of hold. It's like a terrible. If you can imagine a sort of an accountancy-based merry-go-round, it looks like that. But I've never grinded in it. I don't know what I'd grind. What
I'm
does
very
one
relieved
grind?
to hear it.
Yeah, but I'd love to grind.
I didn't like the sound of the judge in that case, if I may be so bold. Judge Ibrahim Moonsi.
Oh, him.
I didn't like what he had to say. Do you know why? He said to the husband, you've escaped prison by the skin of your teeth.
Well, he'd been grinding them as well, apparently.
I don't like a judge who deals in cliches. He sounds like an Emmerdale judge or something.
At least it's an old clip. I haven't heard anyone say you escaped that by the skin of your teeth for ages. I like a 70s judge. I wonder what his organ's like, the husband.
Oh.
From the grinding point of view.
I see.
I imagine he's ground it to dust, the organ. The poor old monkey is destitute, unemployed. No, it was a strange tale, I must admit.
I think also the implication that if you gain weight, you have to stay indoors. I don't know if that's a
No, I see
happy
fat people.
cult.
I wish it were true. But unfortunately, they're often released into the public.
Right.
Yes, sorry. You'd think
my
they'd have
God.
you think there'd be a cut-off point. There should be doors should be made with a sort of plimsoll line, where you get to the thing where you think, no, I'm going to have to stay in until I.
Producer's holding up a sign.
It's
So
yes.
stop it.
No, a funny thing on the subject of that, I passed the other day. I was walking to a party I was invited to, a walking distance away. What should I pass but that machine that was used to get the Chilean miners up, which is currently on tour. And is at present outside the Maritime Association.
Is that right?
In South London, yeah.
What's its warm-up act?
Well, no, it just stands there, really. It looks like a sort of open-plan space rocket, but it's very, very narrow. And I thought, the miners, how long were they down there? Because You couldn't have
At least 70. It was at least a Kardashian wedding. So.
Yeah,
The guinea pigs had several babies.
but
in the time.
a big person could not have gone into this.
Big person's probably not a mine though, because they're in narrow cage.
Well, not this
all the
narrow.
time.
I mean, it was really narrow. I can imagine them sitting down there saying, just salad for
They have to
me,
wait.
please.
They have to go on the Dukan diet for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I might get. I'm getting one
foods are
installed at home to keep me on the straight and narrow carbs wise.
Yeah.
It's right that they must have all been doing sit-ups and stuff, the miners, because it's so narrow. You could just about... You might have got a vole into it, or perhaps some, like, if a ferret stood on its legs. It's an amazing thing to see, and it's just on the street. There you go, a little bit of a guide of the current sights of London this weekend.
Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
We've had a text in on 845. This is regarding uses for mortar and pestle, or pestle and mortar as you like to call it. I use mine to grind up the sugar cubes I steal instead of buying packets.
You could steal packets.
Yeah, you can steal packets easily from any good coffee retailer.
I wonder if there's anyone who has, like, tiny ice cube trays where they take the packets that they've stolen and turn them into cubes. Just put the sugar in with a bit of water and just let it solidify. People should steal what they want, not have to go through some elaborate ritual. That's what I think.
Lovely bit of advice there.
Laura Solon is with us today and was just saying that this husband, who she's accused of trying to fatten her up, in a strange twist in the tale, you've put him on a course.
Yeah, I bought him a butchery course for Christmas last year, and he hasn't used it because I've been away a lot. I was away for about 4 months, and he couldn't go on it because after you do the course, you get given a box of meat.
How big a box of meat are we talking?
I don't know. It's a box. I imagine that means 2 hands underneath it. That's my theory.
that's your box estimate.
I think it's a sizable amount.
It's about as big as the gestation period of a guinea pig.
It's half a gestation period.
But in volume, rather than
but
time.
3-dimensional rather than time.
And
you get a box of meat. So he didn't want to do the course when I was away, because he'd do this course with all these new skills, get back and have to eat too much meat on his own, because we have a tiny...
I'm surprised. I thought they'd just give you an animal of some kind once you got the butcher.
They give you a big net and
because
a knife.
if they gave you a cow, that'd be the equivalent to taking a flat pack home for a butcher, wouldn't it? And then you assemble it when you get there.
Yeah.
How long does the butchery course last?
It's just an afternoon.
Really?
Oh, that's worrying.
That's
It feels like it's a lifetime skill that you can't. No, you can't. I think it's a lovely thing to do.
Well, that sounds like
Marylebone High Street.
They give you a chainsaw.
Yeah. And an apron.
And then they let you loose.
Yeah.
That is. It would be. And I'm not suggesting for 1 second that your husband could turn out to be a serial killer, but if he did,
I would look back at that as a seminal moment. I'd have to go on television and distance myself from myself.
Well, you're assuming you wouldn't be... What if you were a victim?
They never kill the wives.
OK, because if it was you, it would say, ironically, Solon funded the butchery course herself. Oh.
I'd be furious, but I'd be in several pieces and scattered.
Yeah, hoisted by your own petard.
I can see you outside the courtroom chic. Now, Frank and Laura, I need to talk to you about something.
Oh, I hate it when she says that.
No, this is quite bad.
Okay.
I've had a bit of a run-in with an absolute colleague, I'm afraid, this week.
It's all gone a bit to Lisa and Kelly.
I'm afraid it has.
It's gone, you're just generating publicity for your show. Is it real? Is it true?
I'm going to fly off to North London in a half.
And get an illness that means you can't fly back.
Yeah, shall I do this in a
It was great, though, when she phoned in from LA. It was like phoning in when you phone in work and say, can't come in today. I love that.
Someone did that to me once when I've hurt my leg. I was like, what's your voice, Chris?
My leg, it's in my mouth.
Sound a bit like a goat.
That's some people get goats to call in for them for that very reason.
So what's your... This is your...
it's awful. Well, I was minding
terror.
my own business, Googling myself frantically. No, I wasn't. I happened to see on Twitter...
I hope all our readers know what Google is. All our readers? I like that. Yeah. We do a lot of radio for the blind. Carry on.
So, I was actually forwarded a tweet, and... It was, the person concerned is Eloise, Are you familiar with her work? She works on Ian Lee's show.
Okay.
And how did you bully her?
I didn't. She said, this is what she said on the tweet. She was talking about our show, and she said, that team is huge.
No, Nick, I don't think... I think of you as curvy. That team is huge.
Is that a youth
And
word?
then it says...
Or as they say in Laura Solon's house, that tea is huge when it arrives on the
Then
on
she
the
said,
plate.
I once heard posh Emily saying I was creepy when she thought I couldn't hear her.
Ha ha,
Wow.
she writes at the end.
She writes ha ha.
She's
See,
not laughing, though, is she?
I don't like it when people write ha ha.
Because they actually
always
mean the opposite.
Well,
of
do
that.
they?
And I think it's like that
God.
breezy, it's like a breezy laugh. Ha ha! It means that you're not actually laughing, you're quite annoyed.
Could it not
or
be
upset.
ha ha?
I'm fine, ha ha! That kind of laugh.
Well, it's hard to
Or
know
ha-ha.
what it is,
Well,
isn't
listen,
it?
can I just say, Frank, before this gets
Your
out
nickname's
of
Posh
hand
Emily.
to Lisa, I have never called... I can't say I've never called anyone creepy. I call men at absolute creepy, I'm sure.
We always call David Williams creepy every time
But
he's
I've
mentioned on the
never
show.
called
He's fine.
Eloise creepy.
Creepy.
Honestly, I've never had any.
Is there
run-ins with
another
her.
Emily that works here?
Well, I don't know, but
'Cause
then
you're
Jeff
posh
Lloyd,
Emily,
Jeff
and then there's
Lloyd
other Emily.
suddenly weighed in.
Jeff Lloyd got involved.
Yes.
One of the A team.
Jeff Lloyd said, "You probably said I'm creepy too. I am a bit. I've got a limp handshake and a poor sense of personal space."
Well,
And Eloise said, "Where does the abuse end?" Emily.
Well, stick
Where
around.
does it end? Where does
Well,
it
no
end?
one could abuse Jeff Lloyd. He's lovely.
I told him he's adorable.
But you wouldn't
My
confuse
face.
the name Eloise with Jeff. I mean, that's a nonsense.
No, wasn't Jeff
Totally
Lloyd-
different parts of the mouth to pronounce those names.
Jeff Lloyd was being the Louis Walsh here, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was trying to get in, and he was trying to get between the two cats fighting. And
Well, you have to switch. They have to switch chairs, don't they? That's the solution.
yeah.
They can't sit next to each other
But it
anymore.
reminds me of my childhood when if there was a dog fight, someone would come out of a shop with a big broom and prise them apart. It's a
Take
bit
your
like
broom
that.
away. But can I just say, I have no problem with Eloise.
But you do now.
And yeah, a little bit, yeah. No, I don't. But I never called her creepy.
Is she creepy?
Frank?
Strictly
I
entre
don't know who she is. I know who she is, but I don't know what. Well, I'm sorry, I've never met her, so I can't establish her non-creepiness or creepiness for that matter. What I'm worried about
women
is
can be creepy, can they?
when she thought I couldn't hear her. Is what I'm worried about. What is that saying about our ratings? Did you say on the show? Is that the idea?
I don't know. I presume so.
I
yeah.
once heard Posh Emily saying I was creepy.
Posh Emily.
Posh Emily.
I'm liking Posh Emily. I can go
Oh,
with
yeah,
that.
we can run with that.
But I think you've got to be a bit thick-skinned in this line of work, haven't you?
Yeah, that team is huge. How dare you?
That team is huge.
I remember when Vicky Blight said she wouldn't be happy till I was in the ground. I made that up. Vicky Blight would never ever say that. Well, anyway, I'm sorry that I think you girls need to sort this out.
Okay.
And we have because I'm going to send a text that said I heard that Eloise said that we had a huge team when she thought I couldn't read it. Ha ha. That'll put the fat on the fire, as it were.
Absolute Radio. Frank Skinner.
We've had...
So is the idea that if you've got a huge team, is it like saying, well, anyone can do a radio show if you've got a huge team?
I don't know.
What have we got? Os plus 2.
That's huge.
That is huge.
Excessive.
Yeah, you're quite right. That's because I'm grinding up protein at night, putting them in their food.
You got away with that by the skin of your teeth, according to Ibrahim Moonsi.
Huge team.
Such an unusual name. It's odd that he would use such usual language. Can I read this email?
Have we had an email? How exciting. Who from?
It's from either Matthew or Matthew Kiss. I'm not sure.
Okay, probably Matthew Kiss.
He says, if TV shows are really commissioned solely on the basis of a good pun...
Oh, let me stop you there, because this is a theory that's been running on the show for a while, that there are shows like Winton Wonderland that was only commissioned, which is Dale Winton's chat show, because the title's a good pun, yeah.
And only falls on horses.
Yes, exactly.
So if TV shows are really commissioned solely on the basis of a good pun, then why isn't Izzy Sooty presenting a show in which she has to identify 1970s TV show puppets whilst blindfolded?
I like it.
Izzy Sooty, brilliant. I do like that. Izzy Sooty.
It would be quite a short television.
Well, it
programme.
depends how she had to establish whether it was sooty or not.
Yeah, if that was the thing, is it sooty or
If
not?
she had to ask him 20 questions,
Yeah.
it'd be a very long, very, very long programme. No, I like that. That's fabulous.
Frank, we've had some heartwarming news as well. This is... Hi, Frank, Emily. They say the cockerel. I'm sorry. It's Laura today.
That's fair enough.
We're the couple who had our first date at your talk at the 2008 Cheltenham Literature Festival and met you
yes.
again this year. Just wanted to say how thrilled we were to hear you mention us on your Saturday show when catching up on your podcast. So we thought you might like to know that after that evening, we went away and got engaged. You're obviously having a profound influence on us. That's Dino and Nicola.
It's like the first blind date wedding.
I
must get myself a hat.
Absolute Radio with Frank Skinner.
I've been a bit of an interesting discovery, actually, which could revolutionise the British media. Is that I'm getting ever more keen on watching the telly with no sound.
Oh.
I started off as I watched a ballet documentary about the Russian ballet, and because it was subtitled, I thought, wow, I don't have to listen to this. I'll just read it. So that worked very well, and it reminded me of that I went into a video hire shop in Birmingham, and they had the French film Betty Blue. Do you remember that film? It's a fabulous film. I'd recommend it to anyone. And there was a sort of cardboard thing written, sellotaped to the front, and subtitled, but still a good film.
You have to read a bit, but it's worth it.
I love a Birmingham video hire shop.
Signed Mark Commode. And God, I've marked a few commodes in my time. Nevertheless, so the other night I was sitting in with Sandy Mason, who is certainly well, I'm gonna play it. In fact, Sandy Mason, who is friend of the show, and is my girlfriend's mom, and we were sitting chatting, and we had Frozen Planet, the new David Attenborough vehicle.
Oh,
if I can call it that. And it works very, very well mute. Much better. Because his voice has finally caught up with his appearance. And he's sounding, you know, when a person's voice gets old as well.
He needs to cough.
Yeah, exactly. I
He
mean,
needs to suck on a word that's original.
I think he might have phoned in on behalf of Kelly Clarkson. He's got that, and so I can't cope with him.
Can I just say, Laura, David Attenborough is in the Bob Geldof Black Swan pile.
Yes, I don't.
Because you're not a fan.
I don't like it.
That's an interesting pile.
Yeah.
What else is in the pile?
Oh, no, I don't like David Attenborough because he allows animals to be savaged when he could save them with a simple shout.
Can I tell you why I agree, Frank? I watched that. I found it profoundly upsetting, I have to be honest.
With sound, you watched it?
Yes. It was so...
You've only got yourself to blame. Yeah, but his voice does...
I think those nasty pieces of work, a lot of those animals.
They are. They are. They're really... They're hateful. Many animals.
The wolves, don't get me started on the wolves.
The penguins,
don't get me started on the wolves.
When the penguins got frozen in the snowstorm, that was quite upsetting.
Oh, yeah, I know. But if you're going to live there...
Yeah.
You're asking for trouble.
Move to a warmer climate.
But it's lovely. It worked. Like, I used to go to a chip shop regularly where my mum worked, and they had a mural of the Matterhorn on the wall. You know the Matterhorn, the great snow-covered mountain?
Yeah.
And it reminded me of that.
Was it
like
to keep them feeling cold in the fish and chip shop, which would be really hot and sweaty?
I never knew why they went for the Matterhorn. But murals were a big thing when I was a youth. People would have a big scenic picture. My brother had the Great Pyramid of Giza on his living room wall.
My sister painted the Lion King on her bedroom wall.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Is she still working? I wouldn't mind one of those.
Frank, there's a text I'd like to read before we go from 261. We've been talking about obscure crushes this morning. My obscure crush is the lady who plays the mother in the old El Paso advert.
Let's face it, we ain't going to top that. It's a great way to end the show. If you want to listen to Not the Weekend podcast, which is the other show that we do, which is only available online, you can get that from Wednesday morning. Arguably Tuesday night, but we don't talk about that. Mark Crossley is on next. I think that's just about everything. And thank you, Laura, and I believe you're back next week.
Yeah.
When the cockerel returns, but Emily goes, oh, it's like musical chairs. Anyway, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back next week at the same time. Ta-ra a bit.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.